Part 69. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 691. Only after hearing the name Wu Yu, these young people who were drinking and discussing the Dao knew the identity of the person who followed Princess Yuxi here. A few days ago, it was rumored that there was a person named Wu Yu in the ancient Immortal Road, spreading the news that the devouring demon ancestor was about to be reborn, which scared many people. And a few days ago, it was said that something really happened in Dongsheng Shenzhou. However, according to the news that came back, it seemed that nothing serious happened. It is said that the Flame Dragon Legion also came back from there. But Wu Yu came from Dongsheng Shenzhou, and they still had some impression of this name. Especially the two who had entered the ancient Immortal Road. However, these two were not the protagonists in this occasion. When someone asked, Princess Yuxi said, "After you left the ancient Immortal Road, Wu Yu and I had some friendship and helped me. To repay him, from now on, he will follow me and practice together." When this was said, everyone was a little shocked. They were all Princess Yuxi's friends, but their status was actually a little lower. I don't have many opportunities to interact with Princess Yuxi. On the contrary, Wu Yu seems to be able to stay by her side all the time. Don't be surprised. We are all friends in the future. There are many opportunities to meet Princess Yuxi didn't put on much airs here. She was very easygoing and said, "Today's theme is wine tasting and talking. Everyone should be casual. Xiadi, you introduce everyone to Wu Yu first." The woman she called was sitting not far from her. She was a very delicate, playful, and cute girl. She was wearing a pink long skirt and a pink butterfly hair accessory on her head. She was charming and quirky. Before Princess Yuxi arrived, she was the focus of everyone's attention. After being told by Princess Yuxi, she reacted and secretly glanced at Wu Yu. She was still curious, but she still started to introduce herself. She first introduced herself and said, "My name is Yu Xiadi." Princess Yuxi added, "She is the daughter of my aunt, and also my sister." It turned out to be the daughter of the Lord of Yuan City. No wonder they looked a little similar. Then Yu Xiadi began to introduce other people. As expected, these people were all of noble status. They were all children of powerful people. Some of them held important positions in the Beiming Empire, or led the army to come, or were the city lords who ruled the city, or even the palace lords. Although they could not be compared with Princess Yue, in fact, the forces behind each of them were not something Wu Yu could deal with. Wu Yu remembered them one by one. After all, these people should have intersections in the future, or even, conflicts. The one who impressed me the most was the young talent who was ordered by Princess Yue to give up his seat to Wu Yu. He was originally with Yu Xiadi and was the son of the Lord of the North Pole Palace. His name was Gu Ming. The territory of the North Pole Palace was vast, surrounding the extreme North Cold Fairy City. It was said that the extreme North Cold Fairy City was a city of the North Pole Palace in the past, but later the location was too important, and it was separated from the North Pole Palace and was specifically ruled by the royal relatives, so now it was Yu Yuan's turn to guard here. Beiji Mansion and Hangxian City are very close, so Gu Ming and Yu Xiadi have been very close since childhood. The two of them flirted with each other, and they probably wanted to become Taoist couples. However, perhaps because Princess Yue asked Gu Ming to give up his seat, Gu Ming's eyes hid some dissatisfaction with Wu Yu. After all, for him, giving up his seat like this was still quite embarrassing. After all, he knew that Wu Yu was from Dongsheng Shenzhou. Perhaps he didn't understand why Princess Yue valued Wu Yu so much. After Yu Xiadi's introduction, Princess Yue said, "Everyone, continue, don't be restrained. This discussion of Taoism requires everyone to be bold. Don't stop talking just because I'm here." "That's right, everyone, continue." Yu Xiadi couldn't stand the solemn atmosphere and began to smile. "Yes, yes." Everyone began to get into the state. Wu Yu didn't know their rules, so he watched first. It's good to discuss the Dao, but most of the discussions in the Yanhuang ancient domain have become pretentious and boring. These people gather together to consolidate their friendship, Ming Long said with displeasure. She is straightforward and naturally thinks these people are hypocritical. However, Wu Yu can understand that when the cultivation world exists in the form of a country, many things are actually similar to those of immortal countries. For example, these people are no different from the descendants of those princes and ministers. Everyone began to discuss. To discuss the Dao, they first toasted. First, one person came out and toasted everyone with a glass of wine, and then began to talk. The content of the discussion was some recent understanding of the Dao. Wu Yu rarely listened to others talking about the Dao, and he always practiced hard by himself. At this time, listening to others talk about it, it felt different and quite interesting. The main reason was that he was actually lower than others in realm comprehension, so the discussion of the Dao by these geniuses did give Wu Yu some guidance. I'm done. Thank you everyone. After everyone finished speaking, everyone had to toast back. Because the discussion was private, the maids were not allowed to come in at this time. Everyone poured a glass of wine into their own cups and drank it first. Wu Yu saw that everyone was pouring wine. After listening, he felt that the other party was not bad. Since he heard others sharing, it was right to toast. He also poured wine, raised it, and drank it all in one gulp. However, he was a little faster and drank it all in one gulp. After putting it down, he saw that others were slowly savoring it. I remember that the person who toasted first also savored it slowly. Looking back, the taste of this fine wine is indeed top-notch. It is mellow and fragrant in the mouth. After entering the stomach, a warm current surges up, and the whole body becomes stronger and the eyes become sharper. It is indeed a top-notch wine, comparable to elixir. Fairy peach wine, you actually drank it all in one gulp? Fine wine needs to be tasted. People from Dongsheng Shenzhou have never seen the world. Wu Yu had just finished drinking when someone on the opposite side looked at him and talked. When everyone heard it, they all looked at Wu Yu. Most of them laughed secretly and shook their heads. Obviously, they were somewhat contemptuous of Wu Yu's style of wolfing down fine wine. Wu Yu did not expect that this Gu Ming could find fault with this. This is really what Ming Long said, pretentious. Of course, he was born in the palace, and he could understand the superiority of this kind of people in status and self-righteousness. Shut up, Princess Yuyan did not think much about it. When she heard it, her face changed and she scolded. Immediately silent. Gu Ming's face flushed, and he was very depressed at this time. He didn't expect that Princess Yu Wei would side with this outsider. He just told the truth, which really annoyed him. However, he also understood that for some reason, Princess Yu Wei valued Wu Yu very much. In addition, Yu Xiadi winked at him, and he finally understood that mocking Wu Yu at this time was to make things difficult for Princess Yu Wei. So he quickly apologized, "Brother Wu Yu, I was wrong just now. I'm really sorry." Wu Yu smiled and said, "It's okay, but you are right, good wine does need to be tasted." The storm ended, but after it ended, everyone had their own ideas, such as Gu Ming, the son of the owner of Beiji Mansion, who was of course depressed. Seeing that Princess Yu Wei showed her protection for Wu Yu, everyone knew how to read the mood, and immediately treated Wu Yu much better. When discussing the Dao, they also had a lot of interactions with Wu Yu. "This is your first time here, so listen more. You don't need to talk for now." It was Wu Yu's turn. Wu Yu was in a dilemma and didn't know what to say. Princess Yuxiang came to his rescue. Of course, the others were too lazy to listen to his talk. But to be honest, after listening to their detailed narration today, Wu Yu, who was a latecomer, really benefited a lot. Some of his previous problems have been solved to a certain extent, which is also an unexpected gain. In addition, the medicinal power of the fine wine Xian Tao fine wine is really magnificent. After finishing a pot of wine, his stomach was hot. The vast medicinal power condensed the purple mansion C, greatly enhancing Wu Yu's purple mansion Yuan Li. Obviously, the fine wine provided by this Shanghai Xuanhuan palace is not cheap. Only people like them can afford it. It is also a symbol of status. Speaking of which, this wine tasting and discussion of Taoism is really useful. But the model and rules are indeed a bit hypocritical. It is useful in essence, but there are too many exaggerated things, such as toasting, and reciting poems from time to time. After a long time, this wine tasting and discussion of Taoism ended. Basically, no one talked about their recent insights, except Wu Yu. Princess Yuxi was ready to leave, and Wu Yu naturally followed. Everyone stood up to see her off. When discussing Taoism, they were all friends. When seeing her off, she was a princess again, even more superior. Wu Yu felt that this kind of day was not bad. Although he was strong in combat, he knew in his heart that for a cultivator, it was the understanding of Tao and the realm. Only when the realm was improved can one become an immortal. Otherwise, no matter how strong, he was still a mortal. Unexpectedly, just when he was about to leave, someone suddenly pushed open the door and rushed in. Wu Yu looked and saw that it was a more heroic young man, wearing purple armor, which was obviously a high-level Taoist weapon. The whole person was majestic and awe-inspiring, and the domineering momentum, the coldness and perseverance honed by fighting on the battlefield, even the lonely moth could not compare. Princess, when this person came in, he was looking for Princess Yuxuan. Princess Yuxuan was a little displeased when she saw him, and said, "Yinxian, why are you here, why are you so rude?" Although Wu Yu didn't know this person, he knew what Yuxuan was thinking. At this time, she was a little flustered, and more annoyed. Obviously, she was a little dissatisfied with this person, but the other party dared to do this, which showed that his status in the Beiming Empire was still quite high. The one called Yinxian quickly shook his head and said, "I'm sorry, I was too anxious." "I apologize to the princess." He bowed quickly, and then his gaze shifted to Wu Yu. Wu Yu guessed that he came in a hurry and his target might be himself. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 692. Chapter 685 Yinxian. Wu Yu was a little surprised when such a person suddenly came. Now that everyone is crowded here, it seems a little awkward. Princess Yuking doesn't want to cause any trouble. She said, "Let me ask you, why are you here?" While speaking, she was also secretly communicating with Wu Yu, saying, "This is the direct grandson of Duke Yin of the Northern Ming Empire. His name is Yinxian. Duke Yin is an important minister of the Ming capital. He is very powerful and his family is very powerful in the Northern Ming Empire, can be ranked in the top 10. I have known him since childhood, and he admires and pursues me." Princess Yuking quickly explained the identity of the visitor. She was a little angry, because this Yinxian was originally in the underworld city, and when he appeared here, he obviously followed her, but Princess Yuking did not allow him to follow her. Maybe she didn't have a bad impression of Yinxian in the past, but now the situation has changed and she has to rely on Wu Yu, so there is basically no need to consider things like Taoist companions. Moreover, Yinxian was one of her suitors, and only one. Now, she is trying to leave a good impression in front of Wu Yu, and the vote must be based on Wu Yu's wishes. Yinxian's appearance at this time will slightly disrupt her plan. Wu Yu also knew all her emotions and thoughts. That Yinxian was older and had been practicing Taoism for about 70 or 80 years, so he did not enter the Teiku Immortal Road. At this time, his eyes softened and he said, "I heard that you came to the far north Hangxian city alone, and I was worried about your safety, so I chased you all the way. Although I couldn't escort you here, I can still take you back." Having said this, he looked at Wu Yu with vigilant eyes. Apparently he heard about Princess Yuking's purpose of coming to Hangxian City on the way. Princess Yuking said displeasedly, "You are not better than me, why should I be escorted by you? Furthermore, this is the Biming Empire. I made it out of the Taku Immortal Road alive. What can I do in my territory? As an important general, you shoulder the responsibility, why don't you quickly return to your post and serve the country?" Now, she no longer wants to have anything to do with this person. But for Yin Xian, he was greatly stimulated, because Princess Yukin had never been so cold and indifferent to him. After being scolded, he froze in place and looked at Princess Yukin in disbelief. At this time, everyone else also looking awkwardly, only Yu Xiadi could barely persuade Yu Chong at this time, "Sister Princess, he is also kind-hearted. He came all the way here, so don't blame him." "Shut up," Princess Yuking said coldly. She glanced at Yin Xian again, then turned back to Wu Yu and said, "Let's go first." Wait, Yin Xian was greatly stimulated. His eyes were a little hazy. At this time, he stared at Wu Yu and suddenly said sternly, "Princess, you have never been so indifferent to me before. It is because of this that you are called Wu Yu today. Is this guy from you? I'm really curious and depressed. Who is this guy from a deserted place? Why is the princess so kind to him and coming here to pick him up?" In fact, he also heard the news about Wu Yu, and felt depressed and panicked, so he hurriedly came here. When Yin Xian said this, everyone was in an uproar. They didn't expect that he would be impulsive and dare to talk to the princess like this. But if you think about it carefully, Yin Qiagong's family is also a powerful family. The elders will not care about such conflicts between the younger generations. He is also the only person present who dares to collide with the princess. In fact, judging from the current situation, there are all young people present. They are 100% suspicious that Princess Yuking likes Wu Yu. Otherwise, how could she come to Hangxian City in person and take care of Wu Yu like this? But, after all, they believed that this person was not at a level comparable to them. He couldn't even taste wine and discuss Tao, and his realm was only at the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. Why did he deserve it? Yin Xian doesn't understand this issue the most. His relationship with Yu Chong. Before Yu Chong entered the Taku Immortal Road, he sometimes called him Brother Yin. Now that he has become so indifferent, it must be because of Wu Yu. Therefore, of course all his hatred was transferred to Wu Yu. At this time, his eyes were also blood red, and he said to Wu Yu, "Boy, listen carefully, this is the Biming Empire. Your status here can only be considered humble. Slavery. Don't have any wishful thinking about the princess, otherwise you know how disastrous the consequences will be." He was also anxious, so he said this on the spot. If he could exercise more restraint, it might be more effective to warn Wu Yu privately. "Yin Xian, you are so presumptuous. Get out of here." Princess Yuking was furious. She already knew what she would do to survive in the future. She did not dare to hate Wu Yu at all, and she had already figured out what she should do. However, Yin Xian was still very courageous. His eyes were slightly red, and he looked at Princess Yukin seriously and said, "Princess, today I made it clear that I like you and want to pursue the same path with you, life and death. I know that Emperor Minghai also intends to betroth you to me. Regardless of whether the princess likes me or not, I will work hard to get your approval. However, this Wu Yu is from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, an outsider and of low origin. Not worthy of the princess at all, please think again. Get lost." The other party was so arrogant that Princess Yukin really couldn't do anything about him, and the Emperor of Minghai had indeed been looking for a suitable Taoist companion for her before, and Yin Xian was one of the candidates. She didn't just say something as simple as that. She took action directly at this time and waved it casually. A burst of icy cold wind swept towards Yin Xian. When everyone saw that Princess Yuking actually took action, they immediately exclaimed. Yanxian's face was undoubtedly even uglier. He knew that he had acted a little recklessly today, but he didn't expect that Princess Yuyan would not care about the friendship they had had for so many years. His face was miserable and angry. He didn't fight back at all. He just endured Princess Yuyan's magic, motionless, his whole body turned into ice, and was frozen into an ice sculpture. Everyone took a breath of cold air. Even Yu Xiadi and Gu Ming were helpless at this time. Let's go. Princess Yuyan took Wu Yu and wanted to leave this Shanghai Ziyuhan palace. Wu Yu was thinking at this time, how should he make the most progress in the Beiming Empire and achieve the goal of becoming stronger? Fighting, enlightenment, a bigger stage, a stronger opponent, the best opportunity, these are all needed. Here, with Princess Yuyan as my backing, I can completely let go and meet all challenges. Proper use of backing can make oneself stronger. Yanxian has set his sights on him, and will continue to cause trouble for him sooner or later. Although he is in the ice, the look he gives Wu Yu is murderous. He refuses to accept. If you don't accept, then I'll make you accept. Princess Yuxin had just taken a few steps when Wu Yu passed by Yanxian. Their eyes collided fiercely at this time, and strong sparks burst out. Wu Yu suddenly stopped, and beyond everyone's expectations, he said loudly, "This friend seems to be very disdainful of my strength. I wonder if you have the courage to have a fair fight with me. The loser, admit defeat, and get out, don't whine and mock others." In fact, he now has the somersault cloud, which can basically escape death, so he doesn't need to be afraid of many challenges, because it is difficult for him to die. As long as he doesn't die, all challenges may bring him huge gains. Fighting and enlightenment, this is Wu Yu's next idea. Somersault cloud is really too important. Of course, his sudden words made these young people unbelievable and eye-opening. For example, Gu Ming, Yu Xiadi, etc., stared at Wu Yu with wide eyes. How could they understand that this outsider, who came from the wilderness, had the courage to challenge the grandson of Duke Yin? He may become a person like Duke Yin in the future, and continue to be one of the pillars of the Beiming Empire with his family. Moreover, this was really Wu Yu's active provocation. Of course, Yanxian wanted to kill him, but Princess Yu Wei did not agree, so he did not expect such an opportunity. Yanxian tore the frozen ice, his eyes widened, and he felt a little bit amused and said, Are you really talking to me just now?" He looked at Princess Yu Wei. Princess Yuxuan looked at Wu Yu deeply. Of course, she didn't dare to stop Wu Yu, because she knew how terrible Wu Yu was in Wang Xiantai. At this time, she could probably guess Wu Yu's future thoughts. From the look in Wu Yu's eyes at this moment, she knew that the future Beiming Empire would definitely be stirred up by him. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. It's useless to be noble in words. Real fighting is indeed a simple and direct way. Princess Yuxuan responded to Yanxian's question with one sentence. This sentence obviously acquiesced to Wu Yu's decision to challenge Yanxian. For a while, such a scene brought everyone a huge shock. This Shanghai Ziyuhan Palace is so beautiful that it is not suitable for sparring. I'll wait for you outside. Wu Yu didn't wait for Yanxian to agree, and went out directly with Princess Yuxuan, leaving a group of people looking at each other. "Brother Yanxian, please be careful. Wu Yu has made a big noise in the ancient Immortal Road. He must have a reason for doing so. Don't let yourself get into trouble," one of the young men who came out of the ancient Immortal Road said. Haha. Yanxian wiped the corner of his mouth and sneered. He followed Wu Yu coldly and strode out. Seeing this, everyone followed him out, and there were many people watching at this time. The news spread that the Shanghai Palace of Ecstasy had the most distinguished people. This matter was related to Princess Yuzhen and Yanxian. For a while, it was estimated that the people of the entire Shanghai Palace of Ecstasy came out in a line. In a short period of time, thousands of top figures gathered outside the Shanghai Palace of Ecstasy, and even strong people in the three disasters asking Dao realm were mixed in. Moreover, those communication talismans were messing around. Such a conflict was enough to wake up the entire Jibihan immortal city from its silence. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 693. When Wu Yu and Na Yinxian were confronting each other, there were already thousands of people around the wide square in front of the Shankai Ecstasy Palace. Most of them are top figures from the Shankai Ecstasy Palace. Many elders are also here. They stand in the dark, chatting and looking curiously at Wu Yu, Yinxian, and the expressionless Yu next to them. The three princesses. This conflict is somewhat inexplicable, but also very interesting. Everyone is a little confused as to why, but because it involves Princess Yuking, it has attracted a lot of people's attention. And there were many people coming from all around to join in the fun. Sure enough, no matter where they are, people like to join in the fun. Even before the war started, there was already some excitement in the far north Hangxian city. Several elders who had just come out of Shankai's Ecstasy Palace were sitting near the windows of a nearby elegant restaurant to discuss what had happened. An old man said with a smile, "I have finally figured it out. This Yinxian should like Princess Yuki." He followed him from Mingdu, but he found that Princess Yuki was here to pick up Wu Yu, and she seemed to be with Wu Yu. He was very close to Yu, so he became angry and lost his sense of proportion. This child is really impulsive, but that's just how young people are. The other one shook his head and said, "It's not that simple. I just heard Yu Xiadi say that it was Wu Yu who challenged Yinxian. Although Yinxian was angry, he didn't dare to do this. He didn't take the initiative. Is this happening? That would be fun. It seems that Wu Yu is not the person I imagined to be bullied. So, the most amazing thing is him. I have also heard about what happened to him in the Taku Immortal Road. Although I don't know what kind of relationship he has with Princess Yuking there, it is true that this person is very special. It's true. I am curious and want to see what secrets he has. However, Princess Yukin seems to have a good relationship with him. To make Yinxian so irritable, it is possible that they have already developed feelings for each other. Young people are indeed easy to fall in love with each other. Build deep relationships while taking risks. He dares to take the initiative to provoke. Either there is something wrong with his brain or he is a little bit sure. Let's not talk about it for now and just watch. At this point, everyone was silent, but someone thought of something to each other and said, "Everyone, the gate to the Taku Immortal Road will be closed in the next few days. It is said that there are still a few very important children who have not returned. I won't talk about the demons. In the Yanhuang ancient territory, the young prince of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, Prince Feng, King Gu Yunsi, Feng Ji Unqing of Eternal Sword Dao and others have not returned yet. They are the only safe ones at this level. The one who is coming back is Princess Yuki. Now the Demon Dynasty, Izumo Kingdom, and Eternal Kendo are all nervously waiting. If it doesn't come out in a few days, it will be fun. Probably not. They probably persisted until the end and are waiting for the last day to come back. In this case, the harvest may be huge. Just watch. Anyway, I always feel that something is a little off about the Taku Immortal Road this time. This Wu Yu should have come out after Yu Qi. Maybe he knows something." While they were still discussing this matter, many people had gathered. At this time, Yinxian's low voice was heard saying, "Wu Yu, do you have the guts to get out of our Beiming Empire immediately if you lose?" Wu Yu said lightly, "Then do you have the guts not to pester the princess again after losing?" Yinxian sneered and said, "If I lose to you, my surname will not be Yin. It doesn't matter what your last name is. Don't just follow me like a mangy dog." Wu Yu's words made the onlookers roar. He dared to be so rude to Yinxian, and he was still from Dongsheng Shenzhou. Many people are unhappy. They are all from the Beiming Empire, and of course they are on Yinxian's side. Now someone is shouting, "Don't be polite to him, this kid is arrogant now, I will make him look like teeth all over the ground later. Let him cry and get out of the Beiming Empire." Where do these people come from and dare to run wild in our Beiming Empire? The noise of the crowd directly caused the conflict to break out even more. Yinxian had so many people supporting him, so of course he was very confident. But thinking that Princess Yuqian was actually on Wu Yu's side, he felt even more angry and unwilling. Now Wu Yu took the initiative. Bring it to him. For him, the only way to relieve his anger is to beat Wu Yu to death. The two of them said no more, and Yinxian was not polite and directly offered the Taoist weapon. There was not only one Taoist weapon, but two, a knife and a sword, one in his left and right hands. The knife is golden, and the handle is like a tiger's head. Invisibly, a fierce roar erupts. The golden blade is covered with a large amount of light from the magic circle. Obviously, although this is not a spiritual Taoist weapon, in fact, the magic circle has already it's close to the level of spiritual Taoist tools. The other sword was pure white and covered with ice crystals. It was sharp and cold, with evil energy accompanying it like a shadow. It formed a strong impact with the sword. Neither of them was a mortal thing. Princess Yuqing wanted to help Wu Yu, so she secretly introduced to Wu Yu, "This sword is called the Tianwang sword. It has been handed down from their family since ancient times. They have been fighting on the battlefield for generations. Although it is not a spiritual Taoist weapon, it is because there were too many kills, the power was very terrifying, and the fighting will contained in it had a great impact on the soul. That sword was called the Eastern Immortal Sword. He got it from an ancient ruins, and it was quite powerful. Extraordinary, very strange. In addition, he should also have a purple mysterious immortal armor. Now that he is wearing clothes, it is difficult to hurt him without breaking the armor." Okay. Wu Yu was very satisfied with her attitude. As long as Princess Yuqing thought about him, he would not be stingy with any benefits. Yinxian grew up fighting on the battlefield. He has practiced Taoism for 73 years and has experienced tens of thousands of battles. I am no match for him in a fight. Be careful. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading. Princess Yuxing reminded. Wu Yu could see that this person had a strong fighting aura. He definitely grew up in a fight among thousands of people. He was more difficult to deal with than ordinary geniuses. Moreover, the other party was very decisive. At this time, Wu Yu was not allowed to say anything. In the midst of the noise, he directly took action and displayed his magical powers. Possessed by the ancient god of war. When he used his magical powers, it was indeed quite extraordinary. For a moment, his body was shining with golden light, and the faces of the generals wearing heavy armor changed on his face. He seemed to be turning into various people. Every time he changed, his body became a little taller and stronger. Whether it was his physical body or his purple palace energy, it was exploding and increasing. When he finally turned back to himself, he seemed to be possessed by dozens of ancestors, and his combat power increased rapidly. The moment he opened his eyes, two golden edges rushed over, and the majestic murderous intent enveloped Wu Yu. Die! The other party shouted violently, causing the surroundings to tremble. He attacked again like an arrow from a bow. And Wu Yu had not taken action for a long time. Now this opponent also made him excited. At this time, he seemed to be completely suppressed by the opponent. In front of him, Yinxian was like a giant, but Wu Yu was still not in a hurry. When he sacrificed his own Taoist weapon, he directly detonated the whole scene. Supreme Spirit Deikai. It was rumored that Wu Yu had obtained the Supreme Spirit Deikai, but he didn't expect it to be true. The Somersault Cloud and Princess Yuxiang made Wu Yu dare to use the Supreme Spirit Deikai in public, right here in the Beiming Empire. This was a huge breakthrough for him. From today on, he no longer had to be timid. He needed to use this 10,000 dragon stick to meet the challenges and battles of the immortal road. As soon as the Supreme Spirit Deikai came out, Yanxian's Deikai was eclipsed no matter how strong its evil spirit was. When he was charging, he saw the 10,000 dragon sticks roaring with dragons, and his face changed drastically. In the change, he showed greed. Yes, this Supreme Spirit Deikai also attracted him. But this is a battle. Wu Yu never gives the opponent a chance in a battle. Fire eyes, golden eyes world. At this moment, the battle broke out. When the one long stick appeared in his hand, his other magical power also broke out directly. Above the vast sea, he welcomed the scorching Sunday after forging for a long time and enduring too much. The golden eyes world finally broke out. At this moment, what people saw was Wu Yu leaning on the one long stick and standing upright on the ground. Suddenly, his eyes suddenly shone like the terrifying burning Sunday. The magnificent light was like a sun hitting the ground, making many people feel the terrifying heat and close their eyes involuntarily. Some people who could see clearly were even more shocked at this time, because what they saw was that Wu Yu's two burning eyes looked like they had exploded directly at this time. The explosion formed a devastating impact. For a moment, a huge sun appeared directly in the crowd. Many people could not bear the surging burning heat and retreated in a daze. For a moment, it caused a huge commotion. That was really the scorching sun in the sky, a huge fireball that was rolling and burning. It seemed to fall from the sky. Even some powerful people in the three disasters asking Dao realm felt a little thrilling when they saw this scene. Moreover, the scorching sun in the sky seemed to be connected with the scorching sun on the ground. It can be seen that the light in the sky gathered to form a surging column of fire, which was infused into the scorching sun on the ground. The two suns were connected together through the surging column of fire. When Wu Yu's golden eye realm had the support of the scorching sun, it became stronger and more magnificent. The people around had to continue to retreat. Everyone's face was extremely shocked, because they not only felt the horror of this magical power, but they also knew that Yanxian was trapped in this big fireball that was like a domain. Whoosh! The flames swept over the fireball. Wu Yu was also in this golden eye realm. People were outside and it was difficult to see what was happening inside. They could only hear some fighting sounds, which caused the fireball to vibrate, as if someone wanted to escape from it. What's going on? What kind of magical power is this? It's too scary. The battle lasted for 10 breaths, and before everyone could react, a figure suddenly fell from above, and with a bang, it fell to the ground. Upon closer inspection, the person's body was charred black, and no one knew who it was. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 694. Who is this miserable person who fell to the ground? Most of the people gathered in front of the Shanghai Ecstasy Palace are top powerhouses from there. With their eyes, they can naturally tell the difference. Moreover, the King of Killing Sword and Eastern Immortal Sword also fell down at this time and fell to the ground, making several loud clanging sounds. Looking at the charred figure, one can vaguely see the presence of the purple mystic immortal armor on his body, but this very top-notch Taoist weapon has been damaged and lost its luster, and most parts of it look like they have been smashed. Looking more closely, Yanxian's entire body was charred black. Not only his skin, but also most of his flesh and bones might have been burned to a charred black color. He was still conscious, but his facial expression was very distorted and his eyes were dark. At this time, he could only struggle, but it was difficult to stand up. Such a direct grandson of the Duke of Yin is indeed quite different from what he seemed before. It's like heaven has fallen into hell. Moreover, such an ending is something that almost no one dares to imagine. Even if they thought Wu Yu might have some tricks, they couldn't have guessed that Yin Xian would lose so miserably and without any suspense. Looking back at Wu Yu, at this time, the scorching sun above everyone's head suddenly shrank, and the scorching environment suddenly disappeared. When the huge scorching sun disappeared in front of everyone, Wu Yu suddenly appeared. He stood in the air, with no trace on his body. Even the expression on his face was as expressionless as before, but it was precisely this that showed his madness. Judging from this expression, he never thought that there would be any suspense that he could defeat Yin Xian like this. He has great confidence in the Golden Eye realm and the countless dragon sticks in the world. The result did not disappoint him either. Yin Xian used multiple Taoist and magical powers to suppress him, but there was no room for resistance and he was directly defeated by Wu Yu. At this time, the only person who could be more impressive than Wu Yu was the spiritual Taoist artifact that he held in mid-air, surrounded by the shadows of tens of thousands of dragons. There is no doubt that the battle is over. It can be seen from this that it should be easy for Wu Yu to kill Yin Xian. Although the battle ended quickly, a large area here was still silent. Almost everyone was watching the scene with dull eyes. This was the first time Wu Yu caused a sensation here after coming to the Yanhuang ancient territory. It can be seen from the eyes of the people of the Baiming Empire at this time that they are shocked, depressed, and even a little panicked. On the one hand, it was completely unexpected that the result would be like this. On the other hand, in his own territory, the person he recognized was defeated by an outsider like this, and he lost his face. In fact, the human race in the Yanhuang ancient territory has formed various ethnic groups in the long historical trajectory. For example, most of the people in the Baiming Empire are the Baiming tribe, and the Yanhuang ancient kingdom is basically Yanhuang tribe. Although they are all human races and practice the way of immortals, in fact, since they were born in this world, the Yanhuang clan, Baiming clan, Motion clan, etc. have different bloodlines and physiques. For example, most of the Baiming tribe are more suitable for practicing ice, snow, cold, and dark Taoist magical powers. As for the Yanhuang tribe, most of them are good at the righteous ways such as fire and metal. For countless years, the major races among the human race have been fighting endlessly in the Yanhuang ancient territory. Among them, the Yanhuang tribe is undoubtedly the first tribe. They even once dominated the entire Yanhuang ancient territory and almost wiped out other human races. In fact, it is said that every tribe has an ancient ancestor or an ancient ethnic group. In today's Yanhuang ancient territory, the Yanhuang ancient kingdom established by the Yanhuang clan is the super supreme, and there are also Baiming clan, Motion clan, Tianyuan clan, and other powerful forces competing for hegemony. Even sometimes, the hatred and disputes between ethnic groups are more profound than those between countries. For example, with Wu Yu's cultivation, he is a descendant of the Yanhuang clan, so in the territory of the Baiming clan, it is difficult, or even impossible, for anyone to side with him. Moreover, in the Yanhuang ancient territory, there were usually feuds between the major clans, and in order to ensure the purity of their bloodlines, any empire that cultivated immortals actually rejected intermarriage among interracial couples and the formation of Taoist couples. This is also the reason why the Lord of Yuyuan City reminded Princess Yuyuan after meeting Wu Yu that Princess Yuyuan had the purest bloodline of the Baiming clan. Basically, the entire Baiming clan would not let her marry another human race. Especially the Yanhuang clan, the overlords of the Yanhuang ancient territory. Wu Yu could actually understand this. If two people are from different countries, it is possible for them to coexist peacefully. But if two people are from different races, although there is not such a big difference between humans and demons, they are actually fighting for resources all year round, and it is more difficult for them to coexist peacefully, because race is blood, flesh, and soul, and a person you can join different countries, but the blood on your body is difficult to change. Before Wu Yu came to the Baiming Empire, he didn't feel much about this, but at this moment, after he defeated Yin Xian, everyone was shocked, and the hatred from the heart made him understand that it was impossible for him to have the blood of the race. The reason for integrating into the Biming Empire. Of course, now that he is here, he has no intention of retreating. Young master. At this time, many people immediately emerged from the crowd and appeared next to Yin Xian. Their faces were tense and cold, and they protected Yin Xian. From the looks of it, they should have followed Yin Xian here and were the retainers of Duke Yin. Although the other Biming people did not participate, they also looked unhappy. They looked at Wu Yu from the outside. It can be seen that they were still shocked, but more of them were unhappy. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Seeing this, Wu Yu went straight back to Princess Yuxiang and winked at her, and Princess Yuxiang took him away. Perhaps today's battle has further strengthened her determination to rely on Wu Yu. In fact, the Biming Empire is not without other races. There are even hundreds of tribes, some large and some small. They once had glory in the ancient Yanhuang domain. It's just that in the current Biming Empire, they are basically inferior to others. Not only are they weak, but they can only do some work to serve others, such as chores, etc. Whether in appearance or inner strength, Wu Yu and the Biming tribe are very different. The purest Biming tribe, like Princess Yuxiang, has pure dark green eyes, which are very deep. Princess Yuxuan took Wu Yu with her, and was obviously going to leave. Yin Xian's retainers were checking Yin Xian's injuries and using some elixirs to help him recover. When they saw Wu Yu leaving, someone immediately chased after him and shouted, "Foreigner, you hurt the grandson of Duke Yin, and you still want to leave?" They pretended to surround him. "Don't let him go. This is our territory, how can we let this kid be so arrogant and show off here? The wild boy from Dongsheng Shenzhou dares to act wild here. Why don't you take a piss and look in the mirror to see what kind of virtue you are? It is rumored that Dongsheng Shenzhou is a mixed blood place, and everyone on it is of mixed blood, no wonder it is so backward." Immediately, other people started shouting. Seeing that these people were about to forcefully attack Wu Yu, Princess Yue was furious. She turned around and shouted coldly, "Get out! Yin Xian is willing to accept the loss. If you continue to pester us, you will embarrass us. Wu Yu is my good friend. If I hear you talking nonsense and disrespecting him again, I will cut off your tongues." Everyone didn't expect Princess Yue to protect Wu Yu so much. This was completely on Wu Yu's side, which made everyone a little stunned. Those retainers of Duke Yin certainly didn't dare to offend Princess Yue. At this time, they were all stunned. I say it again, Wu Yu saved me in the ancient immortal road. Now he comes to me and is my friend. Who dares to touch my friend? In the Biming Empire, she was still quite domineering. When this sentence was spoken, the scene was almost silent. When Princess Yue glanced around coldly and then took Wu Yu away, the people who blocked the way hesitated, but quickly made way for Princess Yue. Wu Yu looked back at Yin Xian. Although he was seriously injured, he also knew what was happening around him. "Yin Xian, remember our bet just now. Don't bother us in the future. A real man should do what he says and don't let people laugh at him." Wu Yu's words with a smile obviously made the young people watching even more angry. What made him even more angry was that no one dared to do anything to Wu Yu, because everyone saw Princess Yuxuan's determination to protect him. Therefore, everyone could only watch Princess Yuxuan leave. This battle actually caused a great shock. A cultivator in the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm defeated the 6th level of the Yuan Shen Huaxing realm. This is a miracle that has never happened in history. I believe that many people will be interested in Wu Yu. This news soon spread out of the extreme north Cold Fairy City and even back to the Mingdu. Mingdu is the largest capital of the Biming Empire. It is extremely vast and there is the core of the Biming clan. And on the way back, there were naturally many people who watched the two of them in the dark and discussed their relationship after they left. Princess Yuyan, you are not in love with Wu Yu, are you? This is terrible. How can the pure blood of our Baiming clan be tarnished by the Yanhuang clan, and he is of low status and humble origin? Don't worry, Lord Yuan and Emperor Minghai will definitely not let Wu Yu succeed. I guess if Wu Yu dares to go to the Nether City, he won't live long even with the protection of Princess Yuyan. People of the Yanhuang clan, just wait and see. One day, our Baiming clan will be the ones who dominate the Yanhuang ancient domain and change the Yanhuang ancient domain into the Baiming ancient domain. On the way, Princess Yuyan asked Wu Yu about his plan. Hangxian City is too small. What happened today is just right for us to go directly back to the Nether City. Are you going? Princess Yuyan asked. When do we leave? After I say hello to my aunt, I can leave early tomorrow morning. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 695. Because of Wu Yu's arrival, the cold city of Jibei Hangxian City has become a little more noisy. It seems that many people gather in the streets and alleys to talk about the disputes and entanglements between Wu Yu, Princess Yuxian, and Yin Xian. When talking about it, most people are indignant and hate Wu Yu. But there is no way, the defeat is a fact, they can only admit that Wu Yu is very strong, and Yin Xian is a little disappointing. The people who watched the battle on the spot, no matter how dissatisfied they are in their hearts, have to admit one fact, that is, Wu Yu is indeed fair and square, and he defeated Yin Xian with an unstoppable force. And Yin Xian, at the beginning, was majestic, but when fighting, he had no power to fight back. Not long after, Wu Yu and Princess Yuxian returned to the city lord's mansion, and they returned faster than Uzayadi and others. The city lord's mansion is the most magnificent area in Hangxian City. It is surrounded by thick city walls and many great formations of heaven and earth. A closer look reveals that even the bricks and stones used to build the city walls are treasures with spiritual patterns. When Wu Yu first came to the city lord's mansion, he was also shocked by the buildings and formations that seemed to be the creation of heaven and earth. Looking around, a large area was full of snow-white crystal palaces. Snow-white clouds enveloped these crystal palaces, making the city lord's mansion look like a fairy palace. The area of the city lord's mansion is not particularly large, but there are complex formations in every place. In the words of Princess Yuxian, after entering the city lord's mansion, you must follow her. If you mistakenly enter other places, you may lose your life. This is the residence of the cultivators and also a fortress. Basically, there is no need to worry about being breached. No matter who it is very safe inside. There will be no thieves who dare to break into the city lord's mansion of Hangxian City. If other people want to enter the city lord's mansion, they naturally need to go through many verifications, but Princess Yuxing doesn't need to. She is a distinguished guest. When she returns, the soldiers guarding the city lord's mansion half kneel on the ground to welcome Princess Yuxing in. They probably just heard about Wu Yu's affairs, and they don't have the courage to stop Wu Yu from entering the city lord's mansion. Is my aunt back? Princess Yuxing asked when she entered. The city lord is back, and he also ordered his subordinates to tell the princess that if she comes back, she should go to the Shuolai Palace. She is waiting for you there, the guard said. Although he is a guard, he is also qualified to be stationed here because he has the strength of the Yuanshen Huaxing realm. In the Yanhuang ancient domain, there are really many strong people in the Yuanshen Huaxing realm, and the cultivators in the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm can only be regarded as ordinary strong people. Did you let Wu Yu go too? Princess Yuxing asked. The soldier nodded and said, the city lord said that it's best to go together. Princess Yuxing understood. She looked at Wu Yu, who waved his hand and said, let's go. Obviously, she must have received the news. This is Hangxian City, which she is in charge of. If there is any news, she must know it faster than anyone else. Moreover, she also sent Yueli to monitor Wu Yu and his group. Wu Yu probably knew that the person called Yueli was still following them in the dark before they entered the city lord's mansion. Princess Yuxing led the way, passing through the crystal palace-like city lord's mansion, passing through many beautiful palaces and corridors, and passing by a fragrant fairy garden with many precious fairies planted in it, which was no less than what Wu Yu saw on the Thunder Giant Peak. "What do you think she wants to say?" Wu Yu said on the way. "It's nothing more than letting me keep a distance from you," Princess Yuxing said. Wu Yu knew what she was thinking, so as soon as he asked, he knew the answer. On the one hand, the Lord of Yuan City was worried that Princess Yuxi and Wu Yu would fall in love, and on the other hand, he was worried that she would take Wu Yu too seriously. Wu Yu was not of my race, so his heart must be different. Even if they were just friends, there was a great possibility that he would plot against Princess Yuxi in the future. She actually thought too much. Princess Yuxi was still self-aware. Her relationship with Wu Yu could only be friends at most. If they were not masters and slaves, it would be very good. It was impossible for them to be Taoist partners. She knew that Wu Yu had no idea about her at the Wangxian Terrace, let alone now. In fact, she felt a little bitter in her heart and could not escape Wu Yu's eyes, but what Wu Yu admired was that in order to survive, she did it just well and had no intention of dying together with him. If she had the idea of revenge and had been forbearing, it was actually impossible, because the soul control blood formation would tell Wu Yu all her thoughts. In a blink of an eye, they arrived at the Shuolai Palace. There were not many people outside the Shuolai Palace, so the city lord Yuan should be alone inside. This seemed to be a study. When they arrived here, the door opened automatically. It was very dark inside, and only purple candle light could be vaguely seen. The walls around were dark green, like jade. After walking in, they found that there were many Taoist scrolls placed around, and in the depths there was a charming and graceful beauty, wearing a silky purple long skirt, lying lazily on a bench, holding a scroll and reading. Under the purple candle light, her skin outside the long skirt was shining with crystal light, which was intoxicating. Although Yuyuan was not young, she was particularly attractive. At this time, her long eyelashes trembled, and she put down the scroll lightly, stood up, stared at Princess Yuyuan, and then looked at Wu Yu, and said, "I'm back." And when Princess Yuyuan spoke, Wu Yu also bowed his head slightly and said, "I've met the city lord," which was considered a salute from an elder. Yes, Yuyuan walked barefoot on the smooth ground without wearing shoes. After a while, she appeared in front of the two. She first stared at Wu Yu and said, "I heard that you got a spiritual weapon. Let me take it and have a look." This woman is really domineering, but Wu Yu can't do anything to her, and she is not a person without a spiritual weapon. There is no use hiding it at this time, so he simply takes out the 10,000 dragon stick and puts it in Yu Yuan's hand. "Go and say, City Lord, it's a little heavy." This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. After Yu Yuan took it, it was indeed a bit heavy, but it was not a problem for her. She played with it for a while, touched the 10,000 dragon patterns on it, and murmured, "This is a very good spiritual Taoist tool, but it's not know whether its owner is worthy of it." As she said that, the look in her eyes pierced into Wu Yu's eyes. Wu Yu had piercing eyes, and his eyes were strong enough. At this time, he did not give in at all, saying, "City Lord, you may not be worthy now, but it won't be long before the one long stick will know that it has made the right choice." "You're quite confident?" Yu Yuan smiled faintly. Her smile was a bit cold and sarcastic, but it didn't make people feel too uncomfortable. As expected, she put the 10,000 dragon stick back into Wu Yu's hand. Said, "Serve you Kong well from now on. If I find out that you have different intentions, I will definitely let you die in our Biming Empire without a burial place. Of course you also know that after entering the Biming Empire, it will be difficult to get out. There are national boundary formations everywhere, so don't mess around in my Biming tribe's territory, Go out first. Her voice was colder, a threat, and the suppression of the soul, which indeed brought a lot of suppression to Wu Yu. He was a little breathless, but he still withstood it. The other party was standing from the perspective of Princess Yu Chang, so it was understandable that he didn't think anything of it. After saying goodbye, he walked out first, leaving Princess Yu Kang here. After the door was closed, Yu Yuan thought that Wu Yu couldn't hear anything because of the magic circle. In fact, Wu Yu could completely understand everything they talked about from Yu Yuan's thoughts. In the Shuolai Palace, Yu Yuan lay back on her bench and asked, "There has been trouble. Do you want to go back to the underworld as soon as possible?" Princess Yu Yuan was waiting on the side, holding Yu Yuan's arm, and said softly, "Auntie still understands me. I'm going to leave tomorrow. No one will disturb my mood next time. Yu Yuan will come see Auntie again." Yu Yuan shook her head and said, "Since you want to leave, then I will make it clear, and you have to listen. Auntie, please tell me." Yu Yuan was not polite and said, "I know that in the Taku Immortal Road, you may be interested in each other and have a good impression of each other, but you also know that you are the future of our Baiming clan, whether it is your father or the royal family. No one can allow you to marry the Yanhuang tribe, so it is impossible for you to fall in love with this Wu Yu, let alone become a Taoist couple, understand?" Princess Yu chuckled and said, "Auntie is really overthinking. To be honest, we are really friends, and there is no relationship between men and women. Moreover, after experiencing the Taku Immortal Road, there are some changes in Zhou's heart. Now she doesn't trust Taoists much. At least within a few decades, 11ER wants to concentrate on practicing Taoism and ignore things like love. Her aunt also said that if the Taoist partner is good, she can indeed make progress, but if the Taoist partner is not good, she will also be affected. She must find it so difficult to find a suitable Taoist companion, so you might as well not take the risk and rely on yourself." This made Yu Yuan a little disbelieving, and she asked, "Can you guarantee that what you are telling the truth?" Princess Yu Chang nodded. "Chener dares to swear to God that he really only regards Wu Yu as a friend. Of course he is a close friend. He is also willing to help me. As for Yin Xian, he was too noisy and ungraceful today, which made me see clearly. If I marry him in the future, he will definitely be a burden to me, so I might as well just cut him off." Yu Yuan thought for a while, looked at Yukin a few more times, nodded and said, "I am very satisfied with what you think, but after all, Yin Xian is the direct grandson of Duke Yin, and he has a good future. Even if you don't like him, don't do it too well, understand?" "Everyone understands." Yu Yuan said again, "As I said before, people who are not of my race must have different hearts. Wu Yu is from the Yanhuang tribe, and sooner or later he will be from the Yanhuang ancient country. No matter how good friends are, they are always a joke in front of their race, no matter how close you are to each other. Well, my aunt advises you to be careful of him. It is best to enjoy his secrets of cultivation and strengthen yourself. I know it is difficult for you. After all, young children value love and justice, but what my aunt said must be your best choice. One day, you will understand. As for Wu Yu, I don't expect him to live long if he goes back to the underworld with you." Yuking asked in confusion, "Why? This person likes to be in the limelight and doesn't know how to be restrained. He is a foreigner but doesn't know how to keep a low profile. One day, we will get to the point where the entire Baiming clan wants to get rid of him. You'd better advise him to be honest, otherwise you can also save him. Not him." "Oh, I understand." Princess Yuking lowered her head and said, "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 696. What Yuyuan city lord said to Yu Chong was all what Wu Yu had expected. He didn't care if the Baiming clan rejected him even though they didn't have the same bloodline. After all, he only regarded this place as a place to rise. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Courage and courage are a big part of cultivating the Tao. Only those who dare to take risks can move forward. If he is afraid, he can just stay in Dongsheng Shenzhou, why bother coming here? To him, the Baiming Empire was just the starting point of the Yanhuang ancient domain and the world of Jambu. However, the relationship with Princess Yuking must be kept at the distance of friends. If you are too close, it will easily arouse the hatred of the Baiming clan. So Wu Yu decided that after going to the underworld, he didn't necessarily need to be by Yukin's side all the time. He just needed her to help him when he needed background and support. The next day, the two of them finished their preparations. They first went to the Lord of Yuyuan City to say goodbye, and then Yu Xiadi and Gu Chan sent them away from Hangxian City in the far north. Sister Princess, you left so fast this time. If you come to play next time, you must stay longer, Yu Xiadi said coquettishly, holding her arm. Xiadi can also come to Mingdu to play, Princess Yuking said. I want to, but my mother won't let me do it and gives me a very heavy training task. It's really annoying. I don't know when I will see you next time, Yu Xiadi complained. The solitary man could only walk side by side with Wu Yu from behind. He looked at Wu Yu secretly and said, Yesterday, Your Majesty showed off his power and his methods were truly astonishing. I am curious and I really don't understand that Your Excellency has not yet reached the realm of soul transformation. How can you have such fighting power? Do you actually have a secret method to hide your realm? No comment, Wu Yu responded. Yu Guxiu was very angry. He was the young master of the Arctic Palace. If Wu Yu wanted to go to the underworld, he had to pass through the Arctic Palace. We'll see, Gu 11 sneered. He felt that Wu Yu was in their territory and would have problems sooner or later. When they spoke, they had just left the city lord's palace and left the crystal palaces. They were about to pass through the gorgeous roads of Hangxian City and headed towards the city gates. The gates leading to other cities in the inner city were of course simpler. However, as soon as I walked out of the city lord's mansion, I didn't expect that a large number of people gathered in front of me. The clothes on these people all had lavender patterns. They were tall and had similar temperaments. There were about 10 people, all middle-aged, and one of them he was a middle-aged man in fine clothes. He was clean and tidy, with a small beard and a handsome face. However, his eyes were fierce at this time. When Wu Yu and others came out, this man's eyes were directly locked on Wu Yu. This is Du Qian's subordinate. He works in Hangxian City. His name is Xiao Qingshan. He is at the 10th level of the soul transformation realm and is difficult to deal with. Princess Yuking immediately told Wu Yu his identity. As for the others, they are all members of Du Qian. When they appear here, their target is obviously Wu Yu. Sure enough, before Wu Yu and the others could speak, more than a dozen people, led by Xiao Qingshan, first saluted Princess Yukin and said hello to her, and then directly announced loudly, Wu Yu, a foreigner, is in the Shankai Palace. In addition, he openly injured the grandson of the Duke of Yin. The evidence is conclusive and cannot be quibbled with. Now we are ordered by General Yin to capture Wu Yu and escort him back to the underworld. The General Yin he mentioned should be Yin Xian's father. This person should indeed be a person of high status. In the Baiming Empire, Princess Yuking's aura comes from the Emperor of the underworld. These important officials in the government and the public do not need to enshrine her. After all, she is just a person now. A young princess doesn't have enough strength and power yet, so whatever she does will be basically regarded as a young person's fooling around. That's why General Yin dared to order people to arrest people in front of Princess Yuking. After Xiao Qingshan finished speaking, he waved his hand, and everyone behind him was about to catch Wu Yu. Yuking was angry. Over the years, everyone had been polite to her, and this kind of offense was really rare. At this time, she stopped directly in front of Wu Yu and said, "Are you trying to rebel? How dare you do this? Are you acting wild in front of me? Why don't you get out of here?" Even if everyone saw what happened yesterday, it was just a simple sparring match. Yin Xian's skills were not as good as others. Not only did he not have the heart and courage to admit it, but now he is ordering you to do it. Arrest him. Such a shameless coward, I must have misjudged him. Xiao Qingshan, are you going to openly use falsehoods against me? Princess Yuking's attitude and determination to protect Wu Yu were already very clear. Maybe Xiao Qingshan didn't believe it at first, but now that he saw the two of them almost leaning against each other, and Yuking became furious at the slightest disagreement, he knew in his heart that it is impossible to capture Wu Yu today. In fact, he understood better that when he came here and borrowed the name of General Yin, he was forced to come here by Yin Xian. Now, the young master is still waiting for news from him. Princess, this is an outsider after all. I say it again, get out. Xiao Qingshan didn't allow Xiao Qingshan to say anything else. Princess Yuking's face was stern. Xiao Qingshan paused. Looking at the situation, if he took action himself, Princess Yuking would definitely do it. Then Lord Yuan City would probably come out to interfere. If this would cause a big mess, he couldn't afford it. So, I had to give up. Of course, what happened here still attracted a lot of people to watch, and it was spread to tens and hundreds of people. Not long after Princess Yuking came out of the Taku Immortal Road, the news about him would spread far and wide, even to other countries. Get out of the way, don't block the way. Uzayati still shared the same hatred with the princess at this time. The four of them bypassed the embarrassed and angry Xiao Qingshan and others and left directly. Along the way, they were surrounded and discussed by the cultivators of Hangxian City, attracting many eyes, and finally arrived at the city gate. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Passing through the city gate, Princess Yuxing and Uzayati said goodbye reluctantly, and Wu Yu saw the extremely magnificent mountains and rivers outside this northern Hangxian city. From a distance, the distance was shrouded in clouds and mist, and the mountains and rivers were looming, revealing the tip of the iceberg, but even this corner made Wu Yu see the gap between Dongsheng Shenzhou and here. This place is like a fairyland, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth condensed into mist, pressing on the mountains, rivers, plains, and forests, and all things grew magnificently under the nourishment of this spiritual energy. Only after leaving Hangxian City can it be regarded as entering the ancient world of Yanhuang ancient domain. Let's go. Princess Yuyan turned around and left after being seen off by many people. In the Beiming Empire, she didn't have to worry about her safety. Wu Yu and her moved rapidly towards the direction of the underworld. In a blink of an eye, they disappeared from everyone's sight. When they left, in Hangxian City, Yin Xian was in a secret room, waiting for good news from Xiao Qingshan, but at this time, Xiao Qingshan and others had no choice but to return. Where are the people? Yin Xian gritted his teeth and asked. Young master, there is really no way. Princess Yuyan is too protective of him. Even if it is General Yin's order, she will not pay attention. If we take action, she will definitely take action. If we accidentally hurt her, it will be troublesome. Not only us, but you will also be severely punished. Xiao Qingshan said hurriedly. You actually treat me like this? After hearing this, Yin Xian's eyes were spitting fire. If it wasn't a little inconvenient to move now, he would probably go crazy. But even so, he was hysterical and scolded for a long time. You bunch of trash, get out of here. Amid his angry curses, Xiao Qingshan and the others shook their heads and had no choice but to leave. In the secret room, Yin Xian's curses were heard. I don't believe it. Can you 11 protect you for a while, and can she protect you for a lifetime? As long as you are alone, as long as she is not by your side, I can let you die 1,000 times, 10,000 times. This is the Biming Empire. Can I, Yanxian, still be bullied by a foreigner? Wait until I go back to Mingdu. That's my territory. There are hundreds of assassins willing to take money from me. I can't do it. Can't I kill you? At the end, a hideous laugh was heard in the secret room. Of course, Wu Yu and the others didn't know that he would be so unwilling after his defeat. Yanxian was defeated openly. Most people can only keep their tails locked at this time. After leaving Hangxian City, Wu Yu felt that someone was following him, and it was obvious that there was not only one group of people, but several groups of people. The Yueli of the Lord of Yuan City should be among them. I believe there are also people from Duqian. They are probably still very interested in Wu Yu, and they also want to see clearly what their relationship is. When he knew their existence and left Hangxian City, Wu Yu directly used his magical power Somersault Cloud. Xiadu. The somersault cloud surrounded Wu Yu, swirling happily, like a puppy, and it felt soft to the touch. Such a pure white thing, even Princess Yuyan was attracted at this time. She widened her eyes and asked, "What is this?" "You will know when you come up." Wu Yu jumped on the somersault cloud and sat cross-legged on it. Although the somersault cloud was soft, Wu Yu would not sink when he sat on it. Princess Yuyan also imitated her and sat on the somersault cloud. The wind blew, her hair was messy, and her eyes were full of curiosity and surprise. She was originally a stunning beauty, and in such a scene, she really looked very beautiful. Ming Long smiled and said, "This is great. You can do something shameful in broad daylight while flying on this somersault cloud. She is your slave anyway. She will not object to anything you say and will actively cater to you. Go to hell, do it yourself." Wu Yu couldn't stand her teasing tone anymore. The scale was really big, and she was a woman, and she was not ashamed. Wu Yu directly controlled the somersault cloud and flew towards the direction of the Dark City. Because someone was following him, he used the fastest speed. Whoosh! The somersault cloud flew up to the clouds, constantly floating and flashing. Under Wu Yu's urgency, even Princess Yukin was stunned. The others were even more depressed. They were chasing very fast, but soon, there was only an empty sky in front of them. What is that? Everyone was exposed at this time. They looked at each other in disbelief. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 697. This is actually a magical power. With such speed, there are really not many people who can catch up with you. Moreover, the trajectory of the clouds is erratic, as if they are traveling through space. This is not even possible with faster speeds. I promise to catch up with you. Princess Yuking sat in the back, her long hair flying in the wind. She couldn't help but admire and said as she looked at the magnificent mountains and rivers disappearing below. In fact, after seeing Wu Yu's various methods, she only became more desperate. It seems that she has never regretted the soul-controlling blood formation. If she didn't have the soul-controlling blood formation, she would be dead now. Wu Yu didn't say much and concentrated on moving forward. Behind him, Princess Yuking was very conflicted about him, with respect and admiration, fear, and a little feeling of being conquered. Wu Yu knew all this. Amidst the strong wind, she said, "What are your plans when we arrive at the underworld city?" Wu Yu had already thought about it. He said, "The main purpose is to make myself stronger. For me, there will definitely be more opportunities in the underworld. Staying with you will be very safe, but there will be fewer opportunities and disputes, and it will also make people doubt the relationship between you and me. There is no need to cause unnecessary trouble. Please see if there is a suitable place that you can recommend me to. It should not be too far from your location and is suitable for my development and growth." Princess Yuking also understood that if the two were inseparable, there would always be people who would doubt their relationship, or even suspect that they were already in touch. With their royal family's requirements for pure blood, Wu Yu would be in big trouble, and this kind of trouble would be difficult to solve. So neither she nor Wu Yu wanted it to happen. That's okay, Princess Yuking nodded. She thought about it carefully and said, there is really a place that is more suitable for you to go. It's just that this place is also very strict. You may encounter some trouble and rejection, but it is indeed far away from me. It's not far, and there are plenty of opportunities for you to exercise. You say. Princess Yuking said, in our Beiming Empire, every city, capital army, and every government has a government army. The size of the government army is already very large, but the largest one is the large army stationed at important locations and borders across the country. There are 8 legions in total. Last time I heard that the Yanhuang Ancient Kingdom's Yanlong Legion went to Dongsheng Divine Continent, and our Beiming Empire's 8 legions are almost on par with the Yanlong Legion. Then what? The 8 legions are stationed in the 8 most important places in the Beiming Empire. Their military strength is spread across the country and they perform different tasks. The commanders of the legions are all important figures in the Beiming Empire. Among them, Du Qian is the commander of one of the 8 legions. Among the 8 legions, there is one that is quite special. This legion is called the Hai Regiment. The Hades Regiment is stationed in Hades City. It is one of the 8 legions and is also the city army of Hades City. Any of them is also responsible for guarding Hades. Du, the commander of his army, is one of my uncles who is most trusted by my father, named Yu Hang, and his cultivation level is very advanced, much higher than that of my aunt. The Hades Marine Corps has a competitive environment and resources that are most suitable for you. It is also fair and open. The structure is very large and there are countless strong people in it. Under the maintenance of the Hades Navy Corps, everything has been orderly in Hades City for countless years, and there have been very few disturbances. Happens. And I am also in the underworld, so I am very close to you. If you have any trouble that cannot be solved, I can help you. In fact, Wu Yu knew more information from the soul-controlling blood formation than Princess Yuking could speak, because as long as she wanted to say something, she would organize it in her head, and at that time, Wu Yu knew about the Underworld Marine Corps. Yes. Unlike the other 8 legions, the most important task of the Hades Marine Corps is to protect the Hades City. Most of the main forces will stay in the Hades capital. Many strong men are willing to send their children here for training, so the Hades Sea Corps there are the most big shots and geniuses in the legion. Because it is within the Hades capital, the resources for cultivation are also the most abundant. The soldiers of the Hades Marine Corps will have a high status in the entire northern Hades Empire in the Hades capital. Moreover, the relationship between Princess Yu Hang and her uncle Yu Hang is not bad. She is a princess loved by her elders, and she has been popular since she was a child. This means that although Wu Yu is a foreigner, he can be regarded as having a backing in this underworld navy regiment. Wu Yu's bottom line is that as long as he doesn't die, it's acceptable. A backstage like Princess Yuking plays a huge role in critical moments. Okay, then I will go to the Underworld Marine Corps. When I return to the Underworld City, you can introduce me to it, Wu Yu said. Okay, if you have any questions, you can use the communication talisman to come to me at any time. I can show up at any time, Princess Yuking nodded. After saying that, she added, we, the Beiming clan, are still very afraid of the Yanhuang clan. After all, the Yanhuang clan has been the overlord of the Yanhuang ancient territory since ancient times, and even once occupied the entire Yanhuang ancient territory. I will let you, it doesn't matter if you join the Hades Marine Corps, but the Beiming tribe values bloodline, especially the Hades Navy Corps in the Hades capital. You may be ostracized to a certain extent. Compared to other tribes in our Beiming Empire, you should be more ostracized. Because since the establishment of the Underworld Marine Corps, it seems that no Yanhuang tribe has joined it. I'm not worried about this. I'll just reject you. Anyway, in a place like this, I rely on my fists to speak. The speed of the somersault cloud is very fast. Sitting on the top of this cloud, Wu Yu can see the cities of the Beiming Empire from time to time. The cities here are much denser than those of Dongsheng Shenzhou. From time to time, he passes by one. Although it is just a glimpse, Wu Yu can be sure that it is full of ascetics. Even in these magnificent mountains and rivers, filled with aura, there are a large number of villages, and the children in those villages begin to practice Taoism at a very young age. This is indeed the practice of immortality by all the people, almost without exception. The 3,000 immortals in Dongsheng Shenzhou, such as the Haoshan immortal, are all regarded as immortals. So here, there are immortals everywhere. In the future, do you want to become an immortal? Yu Chong suddenly asked. Wu Yu smiled and said, who doesn't want to become an immortal? My biggest goal in this life is to practice Taoism and become an immortal. Then what should I do after you become an immortal? Yu Kong suddenly asked sadly. Wu Yu said, if you can become an immortal, I should at least find a way to set you free. These words gave Princess Yukin hope. She didn't say much, but she cried with joy. In fact, as long as she and her Beiming Empire no longer threaten Wu Yu, he will find a way to return her freedom. Everything he did was to protect himself. Of course, for Wu Yu now, even if he has many valuable treasures, it is still not easy to get to that point. Sometimes, life and death are on the line. If his life is gone, the immortal inheritance will be useless. Mingtaki was almost like him, but in the end it wasn't a tragedy. Hangxian City is a little far away from Mingdu, so it will take some time. Now that there is no one following him at all, Wu Yu can lower his head a little and take a look at the rivers and mountains of the northern Ming Empire. Below, there are either steep mountains, the Yangtze River and large lakes, dense mountains and old forests, prosperous human capitals, or cozy villages. Magical formations and elixirs have entered every corner of the world, and top-notch alchemy furnaces are placed at the entrances of many villages. For Wu Yu, this is really another world. Past all the way. After watching for a long time, admiring the beautiful scenery, suddenly there was a city in front that was quite turbulent and noisy. There were also sounds of fighting and the smell of blood rising into the sky. Wu Yu was attracted and headed towards a fairly large city in the distance below. Looking around, I didn't expect to find an unexpected discovery. He saw that the size of the city was about half the size of Yanhuang Emperor City. It looked no worse than Yanhuang Emperor City. This level was considered to be in the middle and lower reaches of the Beiming Empire. There were only a few powerful people in the Yuan-Shen transformation realm. At this time, there turned out to be a purple monster, wreaking havoc on the city, constantly killing, and destroying everywhere, causing the collapse of streets and city walls. Many magic circles were destroyed, and the monks screamed for a while, the demon is very powerful, so the situation is very tragic. Are there demons in the Beiming Empire? Wu Yu was surprised. He thought this place was completely occupied. Of course there are. Most of the tyrannical monsters are in the sea areas that our human race cannot go to. However, in the Yanhuang ancient territory, there were also kingdoms established by monsters in history, but they are gone now. But no matter where you are, there may be beasts that open up their spiritual wisdom. After countless years of dormancy and inheritance, there are even many powerful demons, but most of them are hidden and unable to compete with us, and demons harming people often happen even in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. Speaking of which, seeing the city and the cultivators being bombarded by the demon, Princess Yuking seemed a little anxious. After all, these were her compatriots from the Beiming tribe. Regardless of whether Wu Yu was there or not, since she happened to be passing by here, of course she wanted to went down to help. Wu Yu knew what he meant and said, "Get down." He put away the somersault cloud, and when the two of them passed by the city, they jumped directly from the sky. Wu Yu also saw the demon clearly at this time. The demon's body was purple, and its body was covered with hard scales, which were like pieces of iron. It had a slender body, 4 claws, and a sharp horn on its head. The whole is somewhat similar to the dragon, but it is not as handsome and holy as the dragon, but a bit fierce. This should be a dragon demon. Xiaolong, also known as the demon dragon, has the bloodline of a divine dragon, but its bloodline is not as good as that of the 9-star snow chi and the Wuxian blood chi. But this demonic dragon is still many times more powerful than the Wuxian blood chi. After all, this is the Yanhuang ancient territory, and there is a better world for growth. No matter how ordinary your bloodline is, you can grow very powerful. Demon Dragon. If you dare to hurt my human race, stop now and you will die. Princess Yuking landed directly near the head of the purple demon dragon. Wu Yu was also here. The appearance of the two of them barely stopped the demon dragon. No matter, the demon dragon actually recognized Princess Yukin and sneered, "I didn't expect that. I am so lucky. With you as the princess here, I don't need these wastes." Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 698. Looking down, this originally peaceful city was indeed destroyed into a mess. There are ruins everywhere, as well as many wounded and corpses. For the cultivators in the city, this demonic dragon was too powerful, and it might have come very suddenly, so they were unprepared and were directly attacked from the inside by the demons without even activating the city defense formation. Wu Yu guessed that it was possible that the demon had been dormant for a long time and suddenly attacked, causing such an effect. Otherwise, as long as the city defense formation is activated, it can be blocked for a period of time. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. The demonic dragon was very ferocious, destroying the city and killing everyone alive, but did not give in when he saw Princess Yukin. At this time, he became even more ambitious and even directly threatened to kidnap Princess Yukin. I don't know what his purpose is, but he is so bold. Princess Yukin has a great reputation in the entire Beiming Empire, and many people know her appearance, so the people in the city who were fleeing in panic now feel much calmer after seeing the princess. Princess, kill this monster quickly. It has committed a heinous crime. It not only killed and injured people, but also devoured many people alive. This crime is simply heinous. This demon has been dormant in the purple 11 Hantan for who knows how many years. No one has discovered it for so many years. I only heard that someone disappeared in the Zixi Hantan. He may have planned this for a long time. Within the city, the surviving people's eyes were blood red, and they hated the demon with great hatred. Many of their relatives and friends died at the hands of the demon. What are you shouting for? It's so noisy. Wait until I subdue this beautiful and charming little princess like you, and then I'll show you what despair means. The demon dragon was very arrogant. At this time, its huge body was galloping in the air, rushing towards Princess Yuking and Wu Yu. Although the real master between the two of them is Wu Yu, there is no need for Wu Yu to leave it to Princess Yuki to take action. After practicing in seclusion for a period of time, fighting is definitely the best way to hone yourself. The demonic dragon's realm is very good, and he is probably at the 6th level of the soul transformation realm. Therefore, he is not afraid of Princess Yuking. In a real fight, he is probably evenly matched with Princess Yuking. At this time, a puff of purple cold air spurted out. It might be a kind of natal magical power, so it was indeed very powerful. Wherever it went, it covered the sky and the earth, and even the heaven and the earth were frozen. But Wu Yu moves faster. The laws of heaven and earth. In a brief moment, his body changed, his flesh and blood surged, and he became a giant, full of strength. In his hand, the countless 10,000 dragon sticks that appeared in the world instantly became thicker. Wu Yu was not holding the 10,000 dragon sticks with one hand, but holding it with both hands. At this time, The 10,000 dragon sticks were dozens of feet long, with its almost like a golden pillar supporting the sky. On Wu Yu, two words can now be clearly seen, that is, violence. With a stick reaching into the sky and a sudden thrust, Wu Yu rushed towards the purple cold current that was coming towards him, and the huge 10,000 dragon stick swept directly over it. Where it threw. Before the cold current engulfed Wu Yu's stick suddenly passed through and hit the demon dragon's head directly. When the demon dragon was feeling proud, he suffered from this sap and Wu Yu's terrifying force. His head was bleeding and he was immediately knocked unconscious. In fact, the target of his attack was Princess Yuking. Who would have thought that a person next to him who had not noticed it at all before could give him such a rough blow? Moreover, he didn't expect that the force of the stick would be so rough, and he was sent flying straight away, spinning rapidly in the air. Everyone couldn't help but marvel when they saw the huge one-long stick and the demon dragon that was whipped away. But this is just the beginning. For Wu Yu, who is good at close combat, it is important to underestimate him. As long as Wu Yu seizes the first opportunity, the subsequent attacks will definitely be continuous. While the demon dragon was still showing off its flight, Wu Yu had already used the method of shrinking the sky and the earth to increase its speed, and then assisted the divine walking technique to bypass the cold current, and this time he appeared directly in front of the demon dragon. When Wu Yu was only 1 foot tall, the demon dragon didn't even know he was there. To him, Wu Yu seemed to appear in front of him again. The one long stick instantly became a pillar of dozens of feet. Tens of thousands of dragons are boiling. This 10,000 dragon stick is a spiritual weapon made of real dragon scales. Its power is certainly terrifying. The immeasurable force hit the demon dragon again. The demon dragon howled miserably, crashed to the ground, and was buried by the collapsed mountains. At this moment, the ground shook. Shangling Dao weapon. It was not until this time that the demon dragon recognized the Shangling Dao weapon after being violently hit twice, but by this time it was already too late. This kind of battle in the immortal way allowed Wu Yu to seize the opportunity first. If he could not withstand Wu Yu's first wave of attacks, he would be crushed immediately. Under Wu Yu's wave after wave of attacks, he would just stop eating. 2 consecutive strokes of the stick made him dizzy from the demonic dragon. He felt like the world was spinning and he almost lost his breath. Wu Yu, this demon dragon has killed too many people. According to the rules of our Beiming Empire, it is impossible for him to survive, Princess Yuking said quickly when she saw that Wu Yu defeated his opponent easily. Neither she nor Wu Yu felt that they couldn't deal with the demonic dragon, it was just that the demonic dragon was too arrogant. Of course, everyone in the city thought that Princess Yuking would take action, but they never expected that Wu Yu would subdue the demon with such brutal means. Definitely deserves to die. Wu Yu could see that this demonic dragon was very cruel and had no mercy on many innocent people today. If such a thing happened, he would have to do justice to God. He was holding the 10,000 dragon stick, and this time it fell like a meteor. With one more stick, he could make this guy return to the west. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. You can't kill me. There are still hundreds of people alive in my belly. If you dare to kill me, I will kill them immediately. When the demonic dragon saw this, he immediately raised his head and roared with all his strength. Wu Yu was slightly startled. Princess Yuking also wanted him to stop first. I heard people in the city say before that this demonic dragon kept killing and devouring monks. Are those devoured still alive today? If he is alive, of course it would be best if he could be rescued. Judging from the reactions of many people in the city, many of their relatives and friends were simply swallowed by the demonic dragon. When they heard this, they quickly knelt down and begged Wu Yu not to take action first. There were probably hundreds of people, all with tears streaming down their faces, asking Wu Yu to rescue their relatives and friends. Of course, the person they were begging for was Princess Yukang. At this time, they regarded Wu Yu as Princess Yukang's bodyguard. In fact, It is difficult for Wu Yu to know whether he is telling the truth, because those people have been devoured by him, who can know life or death. Seeing that Wu Yu stopped for a moment, but the crisis was still there, the demonic dragon said quickly, "You must want to know why I don't hide and come out to cause trouble? I'll tell you now. I want to leave this ghost place, leave Biming Empire. I want to enter the sea and enjoy freedom. I don't need to practice in fear now. The lives of these hundreds of people are in my hands. As long as you promise to send me away from Biming Empire, I will let them go." A way out. I see. Indeed, the Yanhuang ancient territory is still the territory of the ascetics, and it is very difficult for monsters and monsters to survive here. For example, this monster dragon has been hiding in the purple 11 Hantan since he was a child. He is able to survive until now because of his caution. The dragon is good at water. If he reaches the sea, he will be like a fish swimming in the sea. Therefore, leaving the Biming Empire was his dream. In fact, there were many demons in the entire Yanhuang ancient territory who had this idea. This is somewhat understandable. Wu Yu looked at it with fiery eyes. Because of the flesh and blood, and the demonic dragon itself was blocking Wu Yu's sight, Wu Yu could not be sure whether the person he had swallowed in his stomach was dead. "I want to use them as hostages, of course they are alive. I can kill them at any time. Don't mess around. I said, as long as you send me away from the Biming Empire, I will let them go." The demon dragon is actually very nervous. I was trembling when I spoke at this time. However, when he opened his mouth to vomit, he actually spit out a person. The person was wet, disgusting, and dying, but at least he was still alive. He threw the man towards Wu Yu. Wu Yu sent him to Princess Yuqian. There was a relative of this person in the city, that was his mother. When she saw that her son was not dead, the mother cried so much that she burst into tears. As a result, many people in the city began to cry. Pray and let Princess Yuqing find a way to save their relatives. But for Princess Yuqing, this is a bit difficult to handle, because the regulations of the Biming Empire make it impossible to let the monsters leave in this way. It's not that they are reluctant to let the monsters go, but they are worried that all the monsters will use this method. Away. And not many demons want to go to the sea, which they are more unfamiliar with, especially those who are not good at fighting in waters. Most of the monsters on land are not good at it. Moreover, Princess Yuqing and the others were originally going to the underworld, but if they followed the demon dragon's wishes, they would have to return to Hangxian City. This is the difficult part, and Princess Yuqing doesn't know what to do. Seeing that Wu Yu and the others did not take action, Yaolong felt proud, knowing that he had caught the other party's hand, and smiled. "Anyway, people's lives are in my hands. How to make a decision, you think carefully. As a princess, you shouldn't do this, you can't solve the problem." Princess Yuqing really has no idea. Wu Yu felt that since people were not dead and could be saved, at least they couldn't let the demon dragon kill them. At this moment, a huge crowd suddenly came from the distance. It should be an army. The group of people were wearing black and blue armor, very majestic, and came here in a blink of an eye. When the demon dragon saw it, he felt confident and said, "This Lishan Mansion's army is really slow to come." Chapter 1. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 699. Chapter 692 Black Spear. The area where Wu Yu and Yuxing are now is the territory of the Lishan Mansion in the Biming Empire. The Biming Empire is divided into mansions and some special large cities. The status of the mansion lord is similar to that of Yu Yuan in the extreme north Cold Fairy City. Generally, the size of the mansion army is also very large. In Lishan Mansion, most people would like to join the Lishan Mansion army. After all, the Mansion army can enjoy various resources, serve the Mansion Lord, and guard the land of a mansion, and the status will be very high. With the status of a Mansion army, even the family and parents can have a higher reputation and status, and can have the upper hand in the competition for various cultivation resources. For young cultivators in the Biming Empire, especially those with low backgrounds, I believe that most of them will first target the 8 legions, then the Mansion army, and then the city guards. The city guards of the city have been breached by the demon dragon, and the city lord was killed first, but after all, it was because the city was too small and the city guards were not strong. If it is the capital of a mansion, the Mansion army will be stationed directly. When the demon dragon came, the people in the city also reported it to the government army immediately. They didn't expect the matter to be so serious at that time. After all, there were not many people who dared to act wildly in the cities of the Biming Empire for so many years. When Wu Yu came to the Biming Empire, his biggest impression was that the hierarchy here was more strict and heavily set up, which was very similar to the mortal fairyland, but more strict. For example, when the government army came at this time, the people who were still hesitant before were relieved at this time. There were hundreds of people in the government army, basically all of them were cultivators in the Yuanshen waxing realm. Such a large scale was obviously enough to deal with the demon dragon. The Lishan government army came to take over the matter of the demon dragon. This matter was not handled by Wu Yu. Since someone came, Wu Yu was ready to let them handle it. After all, they were the people of the Biming Empire. However, when he looked over there, he found that the team of hundreds of people was basically no match for him, but there was an exception. That was a leader who sat cross-legged on a huge black eagle. The eagle was also a demon in the realm of Yuanshen, but it seemed to be subdued by that person and became his mount. This person was wearing blue-black armor. Although these armors were all Taoist weapons, it was obvious that his armor was much higher in level. Among them, the magic array was estimated to be close to the upper spiritual Taoist weapon. It was normal for the Taoist weapon to have a tenfold difference when it was powerful. This person tied his long hair into a bunch, and his eyes were different colors. One side was black as ink, and the other side was blue, like the vast ocean, or the bright starry sky. Eyes of different colors directly created the extraordinary temperament of this person. It can be seen that those who can hold an important position in the government army must have experienced a lot of fighting and fighting. Such experience will make people have a terrifying evil spirit, which is practiced in life and death. Of course, with Wu Yu's fiery eyes and golden pupils in hand, it can be seen that this person has been practicing Taoism for more than 70 years. He is a cultivator who is over 50 years old and cannot enter the ancient immortal road. His realm is very high, and his purple palace energy and soul are very huge. Facing Wu Yu, he has a crushing momentum. Although Wu Yu is not clear, he guesses that he is at least the 8th level of the soul transformation realm, and it is more likely to be the 9th level, or even higher. Although he is not at the 3 disasters asking realm where there is hope to become an immortal, he is also very strong. If he continues like this, he may become an immortal in another 200 or 300 years. This shows that this person's talent is not inferior to Princess Yuxuan's group of people. Duan Yi, Princess Yuxuan recognized him. From her thoughts, Wu Yu probably knew Duan Yi's identity. He was the legitimate son of the Lord of Lishan Prefecture. He was also a talented person since childhood. Although his status was not as good as Yin Xian, who was defeated by Wu Yu before, his talent and perseverance were more terrifying. He was about the same age as Yin Xian, but his realm was the 9th level of the Yuanshen waxing realm. He was one of the top few people in their age group in the Biming Empire. He has always been fighting on the front line of the Lishan Prefecture army. He grew up in the tempering of battle since childhood. He also relied on his own ability to be promoted from a soldier. Now his position is the Lishan General of the Lishan Prefecture Army, commanding 10,000 prefecture troops. The reason why Yuxian was impressed by him was that Duanyi was also considered by Emperor Minghai and the royal family as one of the husband candidates prepared for Princess Yuxian. His status was slightly lower than Yinxian, but he was more outstanding in all aspects. It is said that Duanyi is deeply loved by the royal family. Be careful of this guy. He has been training in the sea during the time we entered the ancient immortal road. He has just returned. It is said that he has also obtained a high-level spiritual weapon like you. Princess Yuyan saw him coming and hurriedly reminded him. After all, the other party was much stronger than Yinxian. When Wu Yu heard this, Duanyi's status in his heart naturally improved a lot. He was so young that he dared to go out and hone himself, and he could also get a high-level spiritual weapon. This kind of person is really not simple. When Wu Yu and the others saw him, Duanyi also saw them. Princess Yuyan made his cold eyes change slightly. He had seen that the demon dragon had been subdued and fell to the ground with a bloody head. With a little guess, he knew what happened. It must be Princess Yuyan who passed by and helped him solve the big trouble. He led the palace army, and the eagle under his seat also turned into a human form. A group of people came quickly and half knelt in front of Princess Yuxiang. Among them, Duanyi said in a firm and heavy voice, "Lishan Palace Army." Lishan General Duanyi led a group of palace troops to pay homage to Princess Yuxiang. "No need to be polite," Princess Yuxiang said. The demon dragon just refused to be left alone. As soon as Duanyi arrived, he raised his voice and said, "I didn't expect that even the famous Duanyi would come. This will be easier. Just now your princess couldn't do anything to me, and now there are hundreds of living people, swallowed into my belly. As long as you Duanyi take me out of the Beiming Empire and let me enter the sea, I will let these hundreds of people live, otherwise, everyone will die together. These are hundreds of living lives, you Duanyi should take it easy. The demon dragon has been preparing for today for a long time, so he is very sure at this time." The Li Tianfu army had been communicating with the city through communication talismans before arriving, so they knew the process here in detail. When the demon dragon threatened, Duanyi still took his time and did not get up, and continued, "Purple City is the territory under the jurisdiction and protection of Lishan Mansion. As a general of Lishan, he failed to protect Purple City and allowed this monster to act recklessly. He also bothered the princess to take action personally. Duanyi will be guilty after the matter is over." The master of the palace apologizes, and Duanyi, on behalf of the people of Xiling City, would like to thank the princess for saving her life. Princess Yuking knew that he had always been such a strict person, so she said, "These are all trivial matters. The key is that the demon dragon is such a threat. Do you have a way to deal with it?" Duanyi said, "It is my duty to deal with the demon dragon incident. Please wait a moment, princess. I will give you a satisfactory answer right now." He then stood up. At this time, a group of Li Tianfu troops surrounded him, and he turned to look at the demonic dragon with cold eyes. In Xiling City, people were watching carefully, waiting for their relatives to survive. The demon dragon met Duanyi's eyes, and he was a little scared, but he still said firmly, "Actually, I am not a murderer, I just want to leave here. This is not a place suitable for me. As long as you let me leave, I will naturally letting them go. After all, killing them would do me no good at all." Everyone looked at Duanyi. The man named Duanyi kept silent as he gradually approached the demon dragon, his blue-black armor shining in the scorching sun. "Don't come over here. If you come over again, I will kill a few people first." The demon dragon became anxious when he saw that he was too close to him. Wu Yu also wanted to see how he was going to deal with it. After all, these were hundreds of lives. If he messed up, he would also be scolded and punished. Just as he was thinking this, Duanyi suddenly disappeared. The speed was indeed very fast, but he had not yet escaped Wu Yu's fiery eyes. "You actually want to risk killing the demon?" Wu Yu guessed his intention. This person's style of doing things is indeed very direct and decisive, without any hesitation. Maybe he has never thought about letting this demon dragon leave the Biming Empire. If it leaves in this way, first, other demons may follow suit. Secondly, would they lose the face of the Biming Empire and the Lishan Mansion, and allow the Lishan Mansion army to play around with the demon? Therefore, he made a choice simply, risking the lives of hundreds of people. Wu Yu felt how terrifying this person was, and he risked the lives of these people. No matter how unsure he was, he should actually be prepared to let these people sacrifice themselves. However, his tyrannical strength can suppress the situation from happening. At that moment, Wu Yu saw him offering a pitch-black spear. The spear was ancient and rusty, and its entire body was pitch-black, with a strong odor. When the terrifying aura appears, the color of the world changes. At this moment, he appeared next to the demon dragon, and his spear instantly penetrated the demon dragon's neck. The moment the opponent attacked, the demon dragon flew into a rage, directly at the expense of those people's lives. Obviously those hundreds of people were indeed alive, but the angry demon dragon obviously wanted to kill them. These people were all here. He was dying in his stomach. It would be absolutely easy for him to kill these people. However, he never expected that the black spear was really a spiritual weapon. Moreover, it is evil, gloomy, and deadly. When the spear penetrated the demonic dragon never expected that he would die instantly. What Wu Yu saw was that the demon dragon's fleshy body suddenly shrank, lost the essence of flesh and blood, and turned into the demon dragon's mummy. Duanyi shook slightly, and the corpse turned into powder all over the sky. Moreover, he controlled it very well, because when the demon dragon turned into powder, the people in his belly were still there. At this time, they scattered on the ground. Wu Yu took a look. Because of the demon dragon's final revenge, among hundreds of people, about 50 people really died, and the remaining 300 people survived. This kill was clean and beautiful. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 700. Duanyi killed with one strike and decisively defeated the demonic dragon. The demonic dragon did not expect to encounter such a difficult person and completely ignored his threat. In other words, Duanyi is too confident in himself. Of course, he also has the capital to be confident. His realm, strength, spiritual tools, etc. have all reached a level that makes Wu Yu afraid. Especially the spiritual weapon, which kills with one strike, and the demon dragon is killed in an instant. The only flaw is that more than 50 people died in the end, and these were all lives. After solving the problem, the Lishan Mansion army quickly stepped forward and immediately took those people who had been devoured by the demon dragon, whether they were corpses or living people, to Purple City. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward arrow. Because we couldn't see who was dead or alive, there was a lot of commotion there. Quiet, Duanyi put away his spiritual weapon and roared, shaking the entire turbulent Xiling city. His eyes were solemn and he said loudly, "Everyone, the demon dragon is wreaking havoc and committing heinous crimes. If we really let it go smoothly. If you leave Biming, it will be easy for other demons to follow suit, and you will lose the face of Lishan Mansion and even Biming. Therefore, I will never be able to meet his request. Please understand my difficulties. This matter cannot be postponed at all. After all, I killed more than 50 people on the spot. Although more than 50 people were killed by the demon dragon in the final counterattack, this is the limit of my ability. But I can guarantee that any other plowing general will be able to kill him. I can't do this. If you have any objections to me, please report it to the palace master." What he said was very understanding, and the pros and cons were clear. Purple City was a cultivator, and they all understood right and wrong, and knew how terrifying this demonic dragon was. Although some people still died, even those who lost their loved ones had to say that Duanyi did solve the problem neatly. For example, Princess Yuking had no choice before. They were all from the Baiming clan, and they knew better that this demonic dragon had killed so many people, and it would be a shame and humiliation to never allow the other party to leave alive. Moreover, who doesn't know Duanyi's identity in Lishan Mansion? If everything goes well, he will be the future successor to the head of Lishan Mansion. It's just that Duanyi has a different style of acting, so he never uses his identity as the legitimate son of the palace master in his duties. But people cannot forget the fact that he is the legitimate son of the palace lord. Duanyi is one of Lishan Mansion's signatures. They can't even envy or admire him, so how can they blame him? Even if there is blame, it is only a very small part of the relatives and friends of those 50 people, just a few people. Most of them wanted the demon dragon to surrender. After all, he had killed more people before this. When Duanyi saw that the cultivator in Purple City had no objections and even knelt down to thank him, he knew that the matter was over. In fact, he knew it in his heart and knew that he had made the most correct bet. While other government troops were calming down and resting in Purple City, Duanyi walked up to Princess Yuking with a respectful expression and said, "Princess, Duanyi failed to solve the problem, which resulted in the sacrifice of more than 50 people. I hope the princess will forgive me." Princess Yuking shook her head and said, "You are not guilty, you handled it very well." It wasn't the first time they met. With Princess Yuking's words, Duanyi knew that this matter was completely fine. At this time, the government army suppressed it, and he was free. He must have known that he was one of the candidates for Emperor Minghai's consort. At this time when he saw the princess, he was not timid and said directly, "The princess's trip should be to return to the underworld. If the princess can wait for a few days and wait for me to hand over the position, she might be able to return to the underworld with the princess." He has been developing in Lishan Mansion since he was a child, so Princess Yuking asked, "What are you doing in the underworld when you have nothing to do?" Duanyi smiled slightly and said, "My father applied to the commander of the Hades Navy Regiment to let me join the Hades Navy Regiment. From now on, I will no longer be General Lishan. The Underworld Marine Corps is in the Underworld City. If he develops in the Underworld City, he may have a greater future, and the end may not be just the palace master." For this choice, it is estimated that the Lishan palace master also made a lot of efforts. "Congratulations then, but I have to return to the underworld on urgent matters and won't wait for you," Princess Yuking said. She was thinking about arranging Wu Yu to the Underworld Marine Corps, but she didn't expect that Duanyi would also be transferred to the Underworld Corps. Of course, after the two go there, their positions and status will obviously be different. Hearing Yukong's refusal, Duanyi seemed to be expecting it. He smiled slightly and said, "That's it? There's nothing I can do about it? I can only count it on my bad luck and not having the luck to escort the princess. However, after going to the underworld, the princess, if you need help, you can come to me at any time." Princess Yuking smiled and said, "You are the son of the palace lord, and you are someone I can control at will. I have something else to do, so I won't talk to you anymore. I'll take my leave first. The matter with Jiaolong has been resolved, and she doesn't want to stay here. To be honest, this episode of Yi is not bad, at least compared to that of Yinxian, it seems to be better, but at this time, Princess Yuking no longer has the slightest thought in this regard." In Taku Immortal Road, Wu Yu changed her. Princess Yuking greeted Wu Yu, and the two of them left here under Duanyi's watch. Although Wu Yu didn't look back, he also knew that Duanyi had seen them off for a long time. "It seems that he cares about you quite a lot. He has been looking at your back for so long," Wu Yu teased. He smiled and said, "If it weren't for me, you would probably think that he is pretty good." Princess Yuking shook her head and said, "No, I don't like him very much. This person is too strong, his personality is difficult to control, and he is also very scheming. For example, he must know that you are Wu Yu, and he also knows that you defeated him in Hangxian City after passing Yinxian, I also heard that you may have a special relationship with me, and I also knew that you also have a spiritual Taoist weapon, but from the beginning to the end, he never looked at you or talked about you at all, which actually shows that he is arrogant. Ao, I am very cold and arrogant at heart, I don't care about you at all. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Wu Yu knew this better than him, but at least for now, the other party seemed to have such capital. Do you think he will make things difficult for you when you get to the underworld Marine Corps? Princess Yuking asked. At this time, Wu Yu used the somersault cloud again and moved quickly towards the underworld. The closer he got to the underworld, the more majestic the spiritual energy of heaven and earth became. In the underground, there were even countless spiritual energy erupting like volcanoes, heading towards the underworld. Spewing in the distance. Wu Yu said, the underworld Marine Corps is so big that it's difficult to encounter them. Besides, I'm not afraid of him being in trouble. I still have you. With Princess Yuking in hand, even though Yi was powerful, it was nothing to Wu Yu. What he wanted was to plunder and fight. It didn't matter how much, as long as he didn't die, he would have a chance. Needless to say, Princess Yuking has completely surrendered to Wu Yu. Every time she saw Wu Yu's methods, the awe in her eyes became more obvious. Next, it will be difficult to encounter the same thing on the road. After all, it is quite difficult to encounter monsters like the demon dragon. They headed towards the underworld at high speed. Along the way, Wu Yu also saw some cities that were dozens of times the size of the Yanhuang Emperor city. They were really like giants lying across the mountains, rivers, and wilderness, surrounded by tens of thousands of people. The magic circle was heavily guarded, and there was a lot of people inside, including a forest of powerful people. The magic circle in that city is said to have the effect of gathering spiritual energy. Whether it is the spiritual energy between heaven and earth or the spiritual energy in the earth's veins, it is all gathered into the city. Looking from a distance, those cities were washed by the spiritual energy that surged downward from the sky and erupted upward from the ground. Those palaces and buildings all looked like a fairyland. In the entire Yanhuang ancient territory, the top cities of the immortal cultivation empire relied on magic circles to absorb spiritual energy, so basically, the more important the city, the more it was equivalent to the best cave heaven blessed land in Dongsheng divine continent. The largest city Wu Yu had ever seen was 100 times larger than the Yanhuang emperor's city and could accommodate millions of cultivators. He didn't get close. Just looking at it from a distance, the city looked like a giant turtle lying across the sky and the earth. During the time, it was extremely huge and vigorous. There were hundreds of pillars of spiritual energy rolling down in the sky, and there were hundreds of dim yellow pillars of spiritual energy underground, erupting like volcanoes. The city is basically the intersection of two spiritual energies, and the area where the two spiritual energies collide is the most suitable area for cultivation. Wu Yu deeply understands that because of such a magic circle and heaven and earth, the cultivators of the Yanhuang ancient territory, it is possible to become an immortal, and there are so many strong people here. It is precisely because of this that basically no one wants to go to Dongsheng Shenzhou. In fact, not everyone can go to the underworld city. They all need the top status, wealth, and strength to go there. Sometimes even the talent is not enough, and they need the blood of certain big families. Many people from the Beiming Empire have spent their entire lives. His efforts are to send his children to the underworld. Everyone in Hades City is either rich or noble. Some powerful people outside the underworld, or palace lords, city lords, and the like, who want to enter the underworld, must either be summoned or hand over a certain amount of wealth before they can stay in the underworld. It is not easy to enter the underworld, and it is even more difficult to enter the underworld army. The reason why it is so difficult is because the Ming city is the best cultivation environment in the entire northern Ming Empire. The effect of cultivating immortals there is much better than other places. Princess Yuking grew up in Mingdu. Of course, because of her, Wu Yu basically had no problem whether he entered the underworld city or the underworld Marine Corps, because the entire country was under the control of his father. Ahead, is that the underworld city, Wu Yu looked at the horizon and saw an extremely huge black city. The scale of the city shocked him. Unexpectedly, Princess Yuking shook her head and said, "No, this is Tianyan City, one of the 99 cities surrounding the Hades city. We call it a satellite city." One can imagine how vast the central underworld city is. In the distance, like a giant beast, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth roars and gallops between heaven and earth. Chapter 3. There is one more chapter, keep up the good work.